Hey, what is this?
Xenia's word on the street.
This is the Xenia's Word on the Street podcast, dedicated to our community's news, events, and views. Here is your host, Josh Long.
Well, hello there. Welcome back to another edition of the Xenia's Word on the Street podcast. Before we get started here, just a couple of reminders. Well, one in particular. I just want to remind you guys that we have on our website at xeniaword.com/Christmas lights a list of must-see Christmas lights in the Xenia area. So make sure you visit there often. We're going to keep adding to that list. And this is just a reminder that if you have friends or family, a neighbor, or even yourself who have that must-see kind of Christmas light that you love to share with your community, send us an email at editor@xeniaword.com so we get you added to that list. All right, right into the show today. So this morning I was driving from a day job over to Indiana, and I was going through a little small town, probably just judging by the characteristics of the buildings and the size of the town, probably about half the size of Xenia. There's a lot of people standing out front. This one particular brand new building. As I got closer to that building this morning, I realized that they were having a ribbon cutting for a new city hall. City hall, which was probably, again, about half the size of our city hall. Drove by with a lot of people there, even standing in the street. They were very proud, clapping, cutting the ribbon of this new city building. And it just struck me as a reminder that this last week, probably unbeknownst to most of the Xenia community, our new city administration building opened kind of officially. It's been open for a few weeks now. Everyone moved in before Thanksgiving. So it really got me thinking that whole opening of our city administration building kind of went on with a majority of the public probably not even knowing about it. It's been open for some time. Last week, for maybe 2 hours, the city scheduled an open house so you can come in and see this building. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, if you're living under that rock here in Xenia, the city did build a new city administration building, which sits on the corner of Whiteman and East Main Street. Part of the overall infrastructure improvement project, which actually started over, almost over 5 years ago. I'm not going to get into the details and all the what was looked at, what wasn't, but the final decision was that city council and the city decided to invest in the infrastructure of the city when it comes to buildings because of some space needs. And the plan basically was to invest a few $1 million in building this new building. Once it was up and open, and they would then start basically a remodel of the majority of the current City Hall building there at 101 North Detroit Street to become the Justice Center. The police department would expand from the basement to include the first floor, and the courts would expand their operations on the second floor. Second courtroom, more offices, better locker rooms, facilities, interrogation rooms, and things for the police department. Plus, if you've looked down at the City Hall, you can tell on the backside of the building closest to the library, they've added a new entrance for the officers, which include a ramp and some stairs, which make it a safer transitions to bring inmates. I don't know what you would call them, suspects. Bring those people into the booking area, including what will be eventually a much safer booking area where these people can be contained and isolated from the majority of the public who's also using that building. The plan also includes moving some offices that were located at satellite facilities, including some offices out on Tyler Road, planning and zoning, over to the new city administration building. It also includes moving the probation department out of some downtown buildings that they were renting into the police department and the court area, so they're all now in one building. So it's going to reduce a lot of the square footage that the city's having to rent. Pros and cons. That's going to be up to you how you look at it. It is a done deal. The building is built. The building is open. The police department is being built. What I'm going to talk about today is more around pride. Because the building was such a point of contention, it was even used, like I said, so the whole process started about 5 years ago, where city council at the time, even before I sat on city council, and was on for 4 years now, I've been off over a year, but even before I got on it, this conversation and ball was rolling while the city was investigating all these options. Pretty public and pretty heated debate getting through that process. And then over almost 2 years ago, final votes were taken, the checks were signed, and the process was kicked off. Then nearly a year after that, the buildings again were brought politically back up again and was used kind of in my opinion, now this is strictly my opinion, they were used as a distraction and a ploy to take attention away from certain elected officials at the time. Regardless of their opinion and how heated it got, the outcome was not going to change. The buildings were already in process and dirt was already moving. But all this point of political contention around this, when the decisions were made, the public hearings were held, the votes were taken, and later when it became a point of distraction for another political issue, it really soured the public. A lot of misinformation was put out of there. The idea is this grandiose new city hall being built. And I think as the ground got broke and the parking situation got worked out and the building became a reality, not everyone likes the building. Not everybody wanted the building. I completely understand that. But a lot of the anger surrounding it started to fade away when people realized that it kind of fit to scale. It didn't really take away parking. And of course, there's still the cons that it cost a lot of money, people debating if it was necessary or not, and some misinformation how that money came to be and where it could have been spent or not spent. But all that created this political discourse. And the result is we had this beautiful brand new building. I had a chance to tour it before it was completed. Most of the first floor was done. They're still working on the second floor. So this building got built and got open with very little, if any, attention from the public. And that was disappointing because I was all city council, but I think city council and the city leadership, understanding that it was a point of contention in the community, wanted to not make a big deal or rub it in people's faces that this was done. And it's disappointing. I think that there should have been a larger ceremony. Things should have been welcomed. I hope they don't make that same mistake. Again, the word mistake is my opinion, but I hope they change that tactic when the police department gets remodeled and expands. They do a grand opening there, a ribbon cutting, and allow the public to more time and access to that building. I'm hoping that they change their mind and they do more public open houses around this building. 2 hours in the middle of a workday in a week is not enough time to allow the public to see the investment that they've made in themselves and in this building. It was just disappointing. As I drove through this community this morning, saw the pride they had in their building, and I'm sure not everyone in that community enjoyed that investment either, that we allow political discourse to steal the joy of a new building downtown, a joy of a new entrance into our downtown, a joy that the government was able to invest taxpayers' money in providing this new one-stop shop. It's going to be the face of many public hearings and debates. It is the center of governmental business for our community. You're going to go there if you want to put a pool in. You're going to go there if you want to build a shed or pay your taxes or pay your water bill. You're going to get use out of this building. You may even attend a public hearing or a council meeting or something in there. The city held their first council meeting in this building 2 weeks ago. Following that, they held a State of the City address. It was, I assume, and I'm sure it was a nice venue where the city manager got to speak about the pros and cons and all the great things and even some of the areas we need to work on in the city. He's required by city charter to prepare the address each year. In the past, city managers would just read it at a council meeting or submit it via email, but the current city manager, understanding the importance of the State of the City address and the importance of this moment in time in the city, took the opportunity to use the new facility and host a meeting there. I didn't get invited myself. I was a little disappointed in that. I think that not only my role in that building, getting that building built, deserved to be invited to that, but I think as Xeni's Word on the Street, as a representative of Xeni's Word on the Street, and an outlet in the community to get information out, I think that we should have been invited there. So we could have took some videos and pictures and shared with you on xeni'sword.com. I think a lot of people in our community enjoy Xeni's Word on the Street. We have thousands of Facebook fans and followers on our website, but I still think it's looked at as alternative media, a small-time blog in the community. And I hope that changes. I hope to get future invites to city events. Just a little pet peeve of mine. So I don't know. I hope I get to hear your opinion. Leave a comment here on Facebook, on our website, wherever you access information. Me, although I was personally involved in the 5 years of conversation, debates, and political discourse leading up to the opening of our city administrative building, I am very proud of the accomplishment and what we got done there. Not only that, because that's just one step in a larger multi-million-dollar infrastructure improvement, but the city has invested a lot in the infrastructure of keeping our city running, in the government building, to keeping our planning department and taxes and everything flowing. In the police department, there's been investments at the fire department, although we need to focus more funds there on fire stations. There's been investment in our courts. There's been investment, large-scale investments in our water infrastructure, both on the water treatment and wastewater treatment. It has been a wonderful few years in our city. Roads are getting paved, not nearly as fast as you or I would like, but there is momentum moving forward. And I think that the opening of the city administration building is one large milestone in those improvements. Next year, we will have several more, including park improvements, splash pad improvements, police department improvements. And I hope that they treat each one of those with the respect and that each one of those major milestones means to this community by holding adequate celebration and adequate public access to see what we as citizens are getting for our tax dollars. As always, though, that's just my 2 cents, and sorry there's no refund. All right, just a reminder, make sure you guys go to our Facebook page, click on events, and get a list of all the great events going on in our community this holiday season, including the Downtown Christmas, Hometown Christmas window decorating contest. Just go over to facebook.com/ZeniaWord, then click on events, and you'll see a link there to the events to learn more about that great holiday tradition and more about Christmas lights, the tree lighting, all the wonderful Christmas and holiday events coming to our downtown and surrounding community. All right, guys, I'm rambling now, so I'm out of here.
This has been the Xenia's Word on the Street podcast. Please like and share us on Facebook at facebook.com/XeniaWord. You can also find us on iTunes and Google Play, and as always, be sure to visit XeniaWord.com for the latest news, events, and views from our community.